Good morning, everyone. I'm Derek. Welcome to There Will Be Cars. If you're not familiar with this channel, I review new vehicles that manufacturers send me, and I bring you the highlights here on There Will Be Cars. I never thought I would say this, but this week I'm very excited to be driving a minivan. Yeah, wow. I didn't really grow up with minivans. I know a lot of you out there probably did, but my parents had, a bunch of Toyota Cressidas from the 80s. A few of those were station wagons, and then at one point they had Toyota 4Runners. But when I was growing up, minivans were largely a foreign experience to me. But my interest in them changed once I was an adult. In fact, it changed recently because I tested the 2021 Honda Odyssey Elite and drove it up to the southern rim of the Grand Canyon. I thought it was a good-looking vehicle, which I never thought I would say about a minivan, but I thought it was a good-looking vehicle. It had plenty of features. It was comfortable, lots of space. I really loved the onboard shop vac. That came in handy, especially, if you have granola for a snack. It worked very well. And yeah, I thought it was just a great package overall. Because of that, I was really excited about getting this vehicle. This is the 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Pinnacle. The Pacifica Hybrid's been on the market for a few years, but for 2021, Chrysler facelifted it and updated it inside and out. So some of the most notable exterior changes are, of course, just like any mid-cycle refresh, a new grille, a new front fascia, new LED headlights and fog lights. If you're familiar with the outgoing model, you'll remember that the headlights basically flowed into the grille. Honestly, I think the last front end design was a little sleeker, a little sexier, a little more distinctive than this. This is still attractive. It just isn't quite as visually unique as the last models. There are also a bunch of new wheel designs. And there's those letters down there. Those may stand out to you. I'll get to those in a second. And then out back, you got this new LED light bar. Like I said earlier, you may have noticed these letters on the side of the Pacifica. This is also new for 2021, a new top-of-the-line trim level that Chrysler calls Pinnacle. Most of the goodies of this package are on the inside of the Pacifica, but there are a couple of big ones on the outside, including this set of 18-inch wheels with what Chrysler calls Baltic gray pockets, and then platinum chrome trim around the vehicle. Let's take a closer look at some of the interior goodies on the Pacifica Pinnacle. Like I said, most of the goodies of the Pinnacle package are on the inside of the Pacifica. So let's use this attractive key with all these features on it to open it up. So you got your unlock, lock, you can open the lift gate back there, remote start, and then the power side doors. Let's get some airflow in here. Open the other one. We'll start up front. So as you can see, it has a very distinctive color scheme. This is the only interior color combo you can get on the Pinnacle. So it's black and what Chrysler calls caramel. And there's even more on the seats. And you've got these nice quilted sections. Seats are covered in Napa leather. Very distinctive. You also have this suede-like headliner, which is a great touch in any vehicle, but especially in a minivan. And they also extended that to the sun visors, which I really like. The Pinnacle also has these metallic accents on the seat controls. They're a little thing, but I really like how thoughtful a touch they are. Because, they didn't have to do this, but since it's the top of the line trim level, they give you that little extra special touch. There's even more bright work on the seat controls in the second row. And one of my favorite features, again, a small thing, it's kind of gimmicky, but I have to admit that I was excited about it. These quilted Napa leather lumbar pillows. Another special feature in the Pacifica Pinnacle is this Ultra console. So up front here, you've got the controls for the DVD entertainment system in the second row. Show you more about that later. And then this covered compartment. So you've got USB chargers, an auxiliary port, little storage tray, wireless charging. That's a nice touch. A couple of cup holders, of course. I've noticed since I'm just using a regular water bottle and a sparkling water that these cup holders are made for larger drinks, which is great. So you don't have to worry about, if you stop at a gas station and get a giant soda or something for the road, you don't have to worry about it being too big for the cup holder, because these look like they're made for larger drinks. Great for a road trip. And down here, you've got a giant tray with a little textured pad. So if you need to put, loose items or papers or pins or whatever, you've got a nice large space here for it. And then this compartment is pretty straightforward. It's not one of those trick things where it's got 2 tiers or opens 2 different ways. It's pretty conventional. Get this release here, you open it up, get your change holder, charge port, USB chargers, nice amount of space here. Of course, plenty to hold a hand sanitizer. And then in the back, you've got this little cubby right here. It's pretty deep, I can fit, it goes up to my top knuckle on my hand, so it's pretty deep. The Pinnacle also comes with this trim that Chrysler calls mid-century timber. A lot of manufacturers offer wood trim that's unvarnished, it's more of a raw, natural look. So in a way, these seem kind of dated because they're so glossy, but I like the pattern in them. Give you a nice view of the front here. So behind the wheel, you've got a 7-inch cluster in between the 2 main gauges. In the middle, there's a 10.1-inch screen with Uconnect 5. In fact, the 2021 Pacifica is the first FCA vehicle in North America to feature the new infotainment system. Some of the highlights of Uconnect 5 are that it's 5 times faster than Uconnect 4. You can have 2 Bluetooth connected phones paired with it at the same time. And it also has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and even Amazon Alexa. And lower down, you have the dial for the transmission, electronic parking brake, get your parking sensor and driver aid controls, and then big knobs for the volume and tuning, a touch that I always appreciate. Those control a Harman Kardon audio system. And then you've got your HVAC controls right in the middle there. I really appreciate the fact that they have a big button to control the fan split, and then you just turn the dial to adjust the fan speed. One thing Chrysler doesn't offer in the top-of-the-line Pacifica is the cool rear view mirror camera. That would be a nice touch, especially for a family hauler, but maybe next year. Before I move on to the second and third rows of the Pacifica, I just want to show you a few details in the first row that caught my attention. Whenever I get the keys to a new press vehicle, I load in a few things. So for instance, my tripod, hand sanitizer, and I usually put a small travel umbrella somewhere in the driver's door pocket. So in fact, I put my travel umbrella here when this first came in, and then I looked over here and I realized they have a special designated spot just for your umbrella. And it's the perfect length for a travel umbrella. So I just load that bad boy right there and it's ready to go. I've been a little hesitant to put anything in this particular storage area because I don't want it to accidentally hit the fuel door release. Overall, I think Chrysler did a nice job with all the driver's controls and the touch points and surfaces. For instance, this is soft touch here. You got this contrast stitching. This has got just enough give to it. And then you've got some bright work here and there. I really like this ring around the steering wheel. That's a nice touch. But one thing that I've noticed quite often already is this control for the turn signals. There's this little sharp ridge right here. You know, this just feels rough. It feels cheap. It wouldn't be that big a deal if it wasn't such a frequently used thing. So every time I change lanes in this, I feel just this cheap little bit of plastic here. if they were going to cut costs, they should have done it in a place that you don't use all the time. As you can see right here, I've put over 280 miles on the Pacifica, and what I like about the trip computer is they show you how many of those were on electricity alone and how many were using gas. And according to the onboard readout, I'm averaging almost 33 miles a gallon. And to the right there, you can see my total range, the gas range that I have, and how much pure battery range I have left. Now, the official figure from Chrysler is that you can get 32 miles on just electricity alone. There have been a couple of times I've left the battery charging overnight, and when I wake up in the morning, it says it has 38 miles of range. As nice as being able to cruise in all electricity is, one thing that I was surprised by and I wish was different is the fact that I can't find any switchgear that allows me to preserve the battery for later use. Every time I start the vehicle, it just goes right into using that battery range, and then once that runs out, it switches over to the gas engine. I found the variety of camera feeds on the Pacifica Pinnacle to be very helpful. You know, this is a family vehicle. It's large enough, so you want to keep track of the vehicle's extremities. You want to be able to see where you're going and where the rest of the vehicle is going. So right now I've got the overhead view and the rear view, and I can switch over to this one. It's a wide shot. It's even a front view. And front view combined with the 360. And then this is cool. This is a high mounted rear view, and you can even zoom in to get a more detailed shot. Speaking of cameras, this has a feature called the FAM cam, so you can keep an eye on everybody in the back just to make sure nobody's horsing around. You can even zoom in on a particular seat if you want to. In addition to all those camera views, my test vehicle has a variety of safety and driving assistance features. One of the biggest technological changes Chrysler made to the Pacifica for 2021 is making a lot of safety features that used to be optional, standard equipment. Right here, you can see some of the safety and driving assistance features that are on my Pacifica Pinnacle test vehicle. It's a long list, and you can set the threshold. So for instance, you know, if you want the lane sense warning to tip you off early, you can do that. I set everything to medium because I don't want, you know, things beeping and booping at me constantly. And then down here, you know, you can, this I find very helpful, the blind spot alert. The light on this side mirror is enough for me. I don't like the chime, you know, if somebody happens to be in my blind spot. I mean, the light is visible enough, I'm fine with that. This feature I have mixed emotions about. I like it when vehicles offer the option of tilting down the passenger side rear view mirror when you shift the vehicle into reverse. The catch to this setup is that it tilts both mirrors down. I like to get a normal view of what's behind me in the driver's mirror, but to see the curb in the passenger side mirror when I'm reversing. But this doesn't give you the option. It tilts both of them down at the same time. Depending on how you look at it, the Pacifica Pinnacle either has 2 moonroofs, a giant one over the first 2 rows of seats, or 3 if you count these separately and count this one with the manual shade in the back as the 3rd. Either way, it's very nice in here. It's already spacious, but these make it feel even roomier. Let's take a look at the rear seats and see how much legroom they offer. So I'll hit this little button there, nice and easy. All right, so these do slide forward and backward. So I'm gonna put it all the way back, which it already is. You got your armrests there. So as you can see, I have a decent amount of legroom. Not as much as I thought I would, but you know, my knees aren't touching or anything. And just so you know, I'm 5'10", My fiance tested one of these lumbar pillows out, and unfortunately, she found it more of a nuisance than anything, so she ended up chunking it into the rear seat. She was more comfortable without it. My fiance and I went with her parents from Peoria to Cottonwood, Arizona, just to see what the area was like. And it takes about, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half to get there. So her and her mom got some use out of the Sudoku app back here. So, of course, you got the Are We There Yet? Backseat bingo, checkers, hanging fruit, license plate games, total classics. And then, yeah, right here you got the Sudoku app. Now, I'm more used to playing it on paper and scratching out a lot of things, but, you know, if you're really into it and you're on a long trip, you can just tap away and keep yourself occupied. And then, of course, if you want to watch a movie, you know, you got to have it loaded up front there. You also have the option of plugging in hardwired headphones and using an HDMI port or a USB. And then back here, you've got this remote with its own little pocket to control things, and a pair of wireless headphones on both sides. There's a lot of great comfort features back here. So the rear windows roll down almost all the way, and it gets really hot in Arizona, very sunny, so it's nice to have these manually retractable sunshades on both sides. And Chrysler even put them in the third row, which I thought was a great touch. There's no center vents in the middle of the console here, but if you reach down here, you have a retractable bin with 2 cup holders, and there's another cup holder on each sliding door. To close the door, you can either use this handle or this convenient button. Now there are vents mounted in the ceiling. There's one up here, some more in the back, and the person on the passenger side controls the HVAC system. And if you completely fold the seat back down, I would recommend getting a little extra space by removing the headrest first, and then pulling on this cord, you can tilt the entire seat forward. Now the front seat is at the angle that I'm most comfortable at, gives me enough legroom and everything, so that kind of gets in its way. But just so you know, you can actually tilt the whole thing forward. And to get to the back, I can either go through the center aisle, or I can move this pillow, fold the armrests up, and then use this latch on the back here to tilt and slide it forward. Now I'm tilting it back, and like that, I've got a surprising amount of legroom in the third row. Now obviously it would get a little tighter if you have somebody leaning back, but I think passengers in the second and third row would be perfectly capable of reaching a compromise in terms of legroom. And back here, if you want to lower the headrest, you just pull on this ripcord, nice and easy. And you can completely fold these out of the way into this well down here. Of course, you want to have the headrests in the middle down first. Bada bing, and then you pull down here, and then pull this strap. Repeat the same process on this side, unlock it by pulling that, and then pull that. Does the disappearing act, and you've got some load space back there. This is the hybrid component of the Pacifica Hybrid. According to Chrysler, you have up to 32 miles of pure electric range and 488 miles of range from the gas engine. So that gives you a total potential cruising range of 520 miles. Chrysler throws in a 120 volt charger in this cool little bag with the Pacifica Hybrid. It plugs into a regular household plug, but since it's level 1, 120 volt, to fully juice up the battery, you're gonna have to charge it overnight. Now, if you use a level 2, 240 volt charger, Chrysler says you can fill up the battery in about 2 hours. This is a nice little touch too. There's even a spot to put the charger bag. You just slide it in there. And it's out of the way until you need it. All right, on the road in the Pacifica Pinnacle Hybrid. And I've put almost 300 miles on this. A good chunk of those was from going to Cottonwood just to see some of the local restaurants and stuff. I didn't hear any complaints from my fiance or her family about space or comfort. I think everybody had enough room. Dynamically, you know, it's for the most part what you would expect from a minivan, especially one that's not, you know, like a sporty model. You know, this is the most luxurious version of the Pacifica that Chrysler offers. And yeah, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's got a lot of, you know, useful features in terms of safety and creature comforts. I've got ventilated and heated seats up here. I've got a heated steering wheel as well. Now, the one catch to that is I wish they would have plotted out enough space on the center stack here for physical controls for those features, but they're touchscreen only. Unfortunately, I ran the battery down, so I'm just cruising on gas right now. The steering is vague. It's a little more vague than I thought it would be. There are times where I just find myself wishing it was a little sharper, a little more, not precise, but a little more communicative. You know, it's a little numb. Now, of course, this has regenerative braking, so it's not a purely, you know, conventional setup. But even then, the brakes, they're progressive, but there's no real feel to them. You know, they're very numb. But I realize expecting a lot out of the driving dynamics of a hybrid minivan might be a little too much to ask. But in terms of comfort and quietness and luxury features, yeah, this is very well equipped. It makes for a nice cruise, definitely. And there's plenty of space in the back. There's some gizmos to keep kids and even, you know, the young at heart occupied and entertained. Overall, it's comfortable, it's well equipped. Because it's a hybrid and it has the battery pack, you don't have the stow and go seats in the middle, but the rear seats can tumble into the little cargo well in the back, so you can free up some room there. Now, the one catch is Chrysler does offer all-wheel drive in the Pacifica, but that's only in the gas-powered models. And unlike Honda, it offers a hybrid version of the Pacifica, but you can't get all-wheel drive with it. I'd like to thank you for watching my review of the 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Pinnacle. If you liked what you saw, please do me a favor and go ahead and click the like button. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to There Will Be Cars. I really enjoy bringing you content on this channel, and I hope you're here to see my next review.